In the early 90s, scientists in Arizona built this huge glass dome called Biosphere 2. And the purpose was to create a completely self-contained ecosystem. They planted trees and they recreated the ideal environments. However, something interesting happened. Even though the trees grew very quickly, they inevitably collapsed under their own weight. Why was that? Because there was no wind. Hey there, I'm Paolo. Welcome to the channel where it's all about improving your life by improving yourself first. Today we're talking about why choosing the easy path in life actually makes it harder. See, why was it a problem for those trees to have no wind? Because without it, they didn't struggle and they couldn't develop stress wood, which is a type of wood that makes trunks and roots stronger. And it's kind of the same for us humans. Now, you might say, my life is already hard enough as it is. And I'm not going to argue that it isn't. But I am going to bet that on a daily basis, you probably choose the easy path and make the easy and more comfortable decisions way more often than it is good for you. Here's what I mean. Like, complaining is easier than working hard to solve your problems. Criticizing is easier than being patient and understanding. Eating junk food is easier than eating healthy and exercising regularly. And scrolling on your phone is easier than reading books or learning something new. All of these things, they are easy. But do they give you a good life? They don't. And yet we keep doing them, even though we know they don't give us a good life. And that's the danger of comfort. It doesn't have to feel necessarily pleasant. It just has to be easy. And it can make even something we hate, such as a job we can't stand, become part of a comfort zone that we don't want to change. Why? Because change is less comfortable than keeping things as they are. And when someone points out that we should probably do something to solve our problems instead of just complaining about them, we are quick to get defensive and say, oh, but it's not that easy, as if that explains everything. Even the fact that we actually waste a lot of time while complaining about not having time for reading or for learning new things or starting a side project. All the while we get older and unhappier. Here's the thing. We all fantasize about having an easy life. A life where we don't have to do anything, we don't have to struggle, and we don't have to deal with problems and stress. But that kind of life wouldn't really be a good life. Because a life without struggle makes you weaker, like a tree growing without wind. When ease and convenience drive most of your daily actions, you stop striving, you stop learning, and you stop growing. You become like those spoiled children whose parents do everything for them, which only leaves them incapable of dealing with problems in life later on. And here's what most people get wrong. They think that problems are interruptions to a good life, like they are bumps in an otherwise completely smooth road. In reality, problems are life. As Oliver Burkeman says in his book 4,000 Weeks, a problem is simply something that demands that you address yourself to it. And if life contained no such demands, there would be no point in anything. Because problems show you what you care about and what parts of your life you want to improve or just let go of. But even more importantly, problems are proof that you are at least moving, that you are doing something with your life. Maybe not successfully, but you're doing something. Which is why a completely smooth life devoid of problems would be actually quite boring. Because what we want isn't to have no problems. It's to have better problems. And we don't want to stop struggling altogether. We just want to struggle for things we care about. And most great things in life that are worth caring about, they require struggle. Think about it. If you avoid the difficult conversations, you cannot build real trust. If you avoid the pain of working out and eating healthy every day, you become weaker. And if you avoid any risks in life, your list of regrets just keeps getting longer and longer. See, in life, problems are not a problem. Lack of friction is. Now, when I say that you should make life harder and struggle more, I don't mean that you have to make it more complicated. As I must have said in a previous video, those two are completely different things. Complicated means noise. It means you have too much stuff going on and too little clarity in your mind. While hard means purpose. It means you have a few things that are really important to you and you focus on them. And these things challenge you in a useful way. For example, running 3 side hustles, complicated. Sticking to one thing, putting in consistent effort and giving it time to grow, hard. Trying to complete a dozen tasks in one day, complicated. Sticking to just 3 most important tasks, hard. Staying in a relationship where you have to constantly ignore problems just to keep the peace, complicated. Talking it out calmly, hard. Now, you might say that many of these complicated things are also hard. But if you think about it, they are hard mainly because they are complicated. The irony is that complicated stuff that is hard and unpleasant is actually comfortable. We often make things more complex and more complicated because it becomes a good excuse to avoid doing the hard things. Life is one big conveyor belt of problems and challenges, and your job isn't to avoid them, but to choose which ones you want to focus on and want to struggle for. Because if you don't, life, which must have already made decisions for you, will keep choosing for you, and you're not going to like it. So instead of wishing for all your problems and struggles to magically disappear, which isn't possible anyway, ask yourself, how can I introduce more meaningful struggle to my life while reducing the meaningless problems that have been taking up all my attention so far? And remember, do the hard things and life gets easier. Always do what's easy and life gets harder. Your choice. Thanks for watching, and if you want, I have a weekly newsletter where I share small lessons and small challenges to help improve your life. The challenges may be small, but they might not always be easy. They will improve your life though. So if you're interested, link in the description. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye.